Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
So welcome to the agric business segment of the Money Radio show today on the Leadership Podcast, coming to you from the Leadership Podcast studio, Abuja. It's a sunny Tuesday afternoon, and it's a very exciting Tuesday afternoon to be in the studio to talk about food and agriculture. My name is Adadu Ote. I'm your Agrotella King here and your host today for the edition of this podcast. So from wherever you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast from, of course, we're here to talk about agriculture. And I know you should be so interested about the source of your food and agriculture anytime we talk about it. So you don't have an option. But I trust you'll be with us to listen and also share this content and this conversation, because it will go a long way to enable food production and livelihood generally across Africa. And I am sure that at the end of the day, humanity will be thankful that you're sharing this to your loved ones, your friends, and people on your contact list. And also, you're also learning from the conversation we're going to have. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio. I'm here live with one and only Dr. Tosin Liu. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's also from the Jubaili family. They are here, of course, to really quite do a whole lot. So, Dr. T, how's it been really all this time? With the whole flooding activity and everything, there's a whole lot that is happening. And of course, the people who are professionals and people like you have been telling us that this flooding is going to bring about a lot of things. And of course, that forms basis for our discussion today. And we'll be talking about a common disease we should expect in view of the recent flooding activity that has happened across Nigeria, and then with other factors and weather conditions that is impacting on our environment. What are the major diseases that farmers should look out for in this season?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, listeners. This flooding of a thing has caused a lot of economic loss. A lot that we cannot, if you are to be counting 1, 2, 3, I don't think we are going to see the end. And as we can see now, the result has started manifesting. You can see the way the prices of the chickens are, the feed, the drugs, and generally everything we use in this production. So, but we thank God for life, and we hope and we believe that we're going to overcome it. It's just a matter of time. Just like as we know, business, for you to be a successful business entrepreneur, you must be a risk taker. So taking the risk, I believe we're going to overcome it. Now coming down to common diseases we have in poultry production or generally in livestock. Let me start from this current weather we are experiencing. As you can see here in Abuja, for instance, we're having a kind of change of weather.
This minute is cold. This minute is hot.
So a farmer will just come to you and tell you that I enter my pen, everywhere is cold, I try to cover. I just come back in the afternoon, I discover that my chicken have died, everywhere is hot again. What is going on? What's happening? And I told you, the farmers will try to encourage them that as we're experiencing this, is just like is one of the challenge. Weather is part of what you're supposed to prepare for as a farmer. Now, you can see we are moving gradually into Hamachan. But as we're coming, just like today, now look at the way
the transition is very complex.
Yes, you may be expecting cold tomorrow. What you see is it turns to be very hot weather. So now, for a farmer, I think whether it's Hamatan or normal hot period, I believe as a doctor, I believe it's just like normal season, normal weather. But for a farmer, what makes you to stand out is knowing what to do, how to do them,
manage it,
and when to do them. When you know all these three, you know what to do, you know how to do it, and what to do when it comes. I don't think a farmer will have even if something will come up later, you will know how to manipulate and tackle the problem. Let's take the heat period, for instance. You know that whether you have a broilers or you have a layers or cockerel or turkey, you know when to feed your birds. You don't feed your birds in the afternoon during the hot weather. So there's this challenge of what we call heat stress.
So what should be the appropriate timing, for instance, for feeding a broiler and a layer during a very hot season.
Thank you very much. In this period, let's take the hot season as a case study. You feed your birds early in the morning and late in the evening.
Okay. You mean early in the morning, like
Yeah,
4 a.m.?
No. As early as 6:37.
6:37. Okay.
You know, it depends on some region
An environment.
in an environment where you are. So, but as early as 6-7, you feed your birds.
So for somebody in Adamawa, for instance, will 5:30 a.m. not be okay?
If the you see what we normally tell farmers, if you can even if you can have people stationed in your farm, this is your life investment. You understand? So if 5:30 is not too early for you, I think it should for this period
Because
of time.
in a place like Adamawa, Maiduguri, the weather gets very hot. By 7
by
it's
7
sunny.
it's sunny.
That
So,
we can imagine
I believe they should be able to sacrifice their time and be able to do that. So feed them early in the morning and late in the evening. And during the hot period in the afternoon, you provide them with a very cool water.
Fresh water.
Yes, fresh water, allow cross ventilation. You know, you do your management properly. And when it comes to this harmattan that we're talking about, so you know what if people felt they misunderstood the concept of harmattan everywhere is cold, so you cover the whole pen. As you're covering the open, you are still
causing
exposing them
to another weather
the whole place
condition.
becomes stuffy, no cross ventilation. Before you know, you enter the pen and see your chicken dying, and you'll be wondering, the whole place is cold, and I cover it. What could have happened, doctor? Come and help you. It's not about helping you. That's what we're talking about. Know what to do and when
what
to do them
at the right time.
and at the right time. So, this heat period, we are challenged with a disease called heat stress.
Heat stress.
Heat stress.
So it's a disease that comes with the hot weather.
And it's very, very common.
So when doctor, what part of the system of that animal that this impact on?
In fact, it's impacting all systems.
All their internal systems.
Yes, it's going to affect their GIT. It's going to affect their respiratory because what they're supposed to be taking in and taking out, it will not balance. I don't want to go in deeply.
Okay.
So, but it affects their respiratory problem, but internally it affects their GI
organs.
Internal organs very well, because as they are expressing a heat stress, you are still serving them, and as their digestion, they are undergoing a metabolic process, they are producing another heat again.
So doctor, some of us went to evening school. So the metabolic system is
just the process of breaking down of food
to
what they can use.
Because I know some of us that went to afternoon school, they are watching this show. The English may be too big for them to break.
So that is the main reason why I say we should not serve them food in the afternoon. So you provide them with cool water. In fact, in some places, there are pen that I've seen the way air conditioners are being installed. Industrial fan are there. So you try to cool the system for them. And when it comes to this harmattan, when you notice the open is cold, so you provide heat source. But mind you, as well, harmattan simply means a dry and dusty weather. So as you're try to provide the heat source. Some people are fond of using the wood instead of charcoal to heat up so before you know, the smoke start coming again. So see stuffiness of
and that will affect the lungs.
And this is the major challenge, the major disease condition we normally face during this harmattan is respiratory distress. In the other we normally face heat stress. This is a respiratory distress,
which is as a result of that dusty nature of our environment.
And harmattan comes with cold. We experience it late in the evening and early in the morning. So when the farmer tells you that, or when you're expressing early in the morning, you're expressing a lot of mortality, you should know it's associated with the cold stress. But in the other way, when in the evening you come to your pen or to your farm
and see mortality in the evening,
that's
the heat.
With heat stress.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's common to really understand.
Common, yes.
Okay.
So if farmers should prepare themselves for these diseases, in each season or each weather comes with their own challenges. But if you should know this, I don't think there will be much problem, even if something will come up later. So as we are going to the harmattan now, I'm advising farmers just prepare yourself. I saw some farmers that they share their experience. They said during this harmattan, you don't like stocking birds. Birds usually die of cold. There's no time that birds don't die. It depends on how you manage them. How well you manage them. as they are coming now, you provide adequate heat for them. When you see, there are things that you as a farmer, there are things that you need to look out to when you are with your chicks
birds.
or your birds. When you see your birds crowding towards the heat source, you should know that
The heat,
the
is,
heat
in
is
fact,
not enough for
is not
them.
enough for them.
So, and this thing needs to be distributed. In fact, thank God for technology. The
Thermometer
thermometer is there.
can be used.
Yes, can be used.
So
So
just be hang, and it's not expensive.
it's not very cheap.
5,000.
5,000. So at least that 5,000 will save you a lot of mentalities, a lot of expenses. So when you have a thermometer inside it, so you will be able to read the temperature. In fact, some has a some read the temperature. We have the one that reads the humidity, just like where we are entering now. So you know when and how to attend to your bets. So when by the time you have that, you save a lot of a lot of
Wastage.
wastage in your thing. So you provide adequate heat for them, then you provide a cool environment for them, you provide a cool water for them, and when you notice all this, there are you provide a water with some anti-stress. Be it even during the heat period, you provide water with anti-stress. During this one too, because all of them come with stress.
Oh, okay. So whether they're feeling warm or
Whether
they're feeling cold, it's a stress they are trying to deal with.
Yes, and when the vet, the stress has a threshold, has a limit. By the time you reach the limit, there are some diseases. We call them opportunistic organisms that they don't supposed to bring the vet down or cause disease because they've seen opportunity just as the name implies.
So does that mean as their immune system is
It's
dropping,
down.
that can start flying
You
around?
can't start flying around. Oh, I've seen the opportunity. Let me just use the opportunity and come up. So these are the things that farmers. So you provide water for them with adequate electrolytes, anti-stress. We have a couple of drugs there. We have likes of Vitranol Forte, vitamin C. There are drugs like this that you provide for children. So for this period where there are other when we move into rainy season, it has on look at the issue of the flooding now. Now as the whole place is flooded now, I'm sure there are a lot of microorganisms, disease underground. Yes, that will be impacted on beds. And now a lot of pens, a lot of farms have been flooded. Introduce a lot of diseases.
So even this flooding can actually move disease from another farm to another farm. With this flooding,
yes,
it will wash away all their problems to another farm.
So that's why we normally
problem.
When there was a time we were talking about topographic location of a pen. When you want to construct, there's a particular place you can't just because I have a plot of land in my backyard. Let me just you don't do that. You look for an appropriate place and build. Now this issue of flooding, if your pen has been situated in a place whereby the water won't pass through, they will not carry their wahala from that place and come and dump it. Look at there's a disease we call smallpox. Smallpox is transmitted
very stubborn, especially in Turkey.
Yes, they are even the most susceptible what's it called, avian species that this pox actually affects. So as stubborn as it is, it's a viral disease, quite right. So when it's the breeding organisms, they reside in stagnant water. Imagine your pen or your farm is situated near where you have a stagnant water or a water dump area. So and as it's flooding, it took.
So no matter how if you have such a farmer, no matter how you give vaccination, medication, you may just be reinfecting your birds frequently.
I like that word. We call it auto-infection. As you are treating them, you are exposing them again. You are treating, you are exposing, you are treating, you are exposing.
Counterproductive completely.
Then you now resort to you use this, it doesn't work. You use that, it doesn't work. Before you know, the farmer will start resorting, telling you that no, these chicken are not good. Whereas chicken are good, the feed are okay. It's your management that is not top notch. So when you move from the hot weather, you move to Hamatan, it has its own challenge. You move to rainy season, it has its own challenge. So these are how the diseases have their own peculiar times they come up. So what is left to farmers is to how well have you prepared yourself. Thank God we have a lot of vaccinable
disease that can prevent some of this.
Yeah, just like we normally say, but prevention is better than cure. It's better what you prevent with 1,000 naira. When it comes, 20,000 will not solve it again. You see, you've lost the chicken, you've lost the money again. So I will advise farmers, just like I said, know what to do, know how to do them, and when exactly I need to do them. I'm free feel free to ask questions
when you have
when
to.
you have to.
So this is not a time to just keep quiet when something is going wrong.
Now look at the way we are moving towards Christmas. Now we have a lot of there are even some people who call seasonal farmers.
They all stock chicken.
Some don't even have the idea because the Christmas is coming. I want to sell. I want to make money.
They want to hammer during.
They want to hammer. Yeah, they want to cash out. This is the cash out time now towards moving towards Christmas, and you don't have adequate knowledge on how to do this. You don't just go into production like that without having people you can ask questions, knowing what to do. At the end of the day, you said this, you'll be putting blame on whether the actual company or the feed or the drugs. Things are not done like that. So please always seek knowledge before you go in.
So I'll hold you on that. We'll go on a quick short break, and then when we return, we'll continue with the conversation and do a conclusion to the show. Thank you.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money. Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
So welcome back to the agribusiness segment of the Money Radio show here on Leadership Podcast, coming to you from Leadership Podcast studio for God and humanity and country. Of course, we're talking about common disease today and in livestock generally, in view of some of the events that have been happening across Nigeria. And of course, earlier on, Dr. Habib was trying to educate us on how and what to do at the right time and when to get it done. And he also mentioned about a few things that we need to also do, feeding pattern, and then also when to feed the birds, and then how to also observe. He also talked about how it's very important for us to observe. So, Dr. Habib, generally right now, the mood for people are responding to disease, especially for the private sector, and people like you who are doing a lot of support for farmers and how to ensure that farmers' activities are more profitable. How can they keep how can we have farmers who will basically be will have a profit will have a completely disease? Is it possible to have a completely disease-free farm at this moment?
Thank you very much. It is very difficult to have a completely disease farm. The only thing you just
completely disease-free farm.
Free farm, yeah. It's very impossible because birds coming from hatchery is coming with their own wahala. You prepare for them. How well have you prepared? Have you disinfected your farm? Do you maintain your biosecurity? Even the feed where you go to, a lot of people are coming to buy feeds. A lot of people are coming with their own infection from their own farm. You meet at a particular point, you exchange. We call it disease exchange point. You are going there to buy something, buy drugs, buy whatever, but a lot of people are coming there with their own problem. So it's very difficult to have a completely disease-free farm. But what you just need to do is at least you do your best. You do it by maintaining biosecurity adequately. Part of the maintaining your biosecurity is to prevent some disease by vaccinate them. There are a couple of vaccines outside there. There are a couple of medications, even if you cannot, not all diseases are vaccinable, but we have some that you can actually prevent with use of drugs.
I thought all those things you people tell us to do the Lasota, the Gomboro, the rest of them.
Yes.
But when you say not all of them are vaccines, it means there are some that can happen without, no matter, they don't have vaccine.
Yes. Not all of them are vaccinable diseases.
Wow.
But the most common one that we have in this part of the world or this part of the country, we thank God for the signs. We have some of them are like the Lasota, the Newcastle, the Gomboro. In fact, the coccidiosis. Not all farmers know that coccidiosis are vaccinable.
I got to know 2 years ago.
Yes, so some would see that as not
10 years.
Yeah, some would say it's not economical for them.
It's quite expensive.
Yes, for most especially the broiler farmers. You know, but for the birds that are staying longer with you, I think it's better for you to prevent than to come and kill. Because even if you as owner of the farm, you say you are going to do your best, you may not have the time. The people you put in the farm,
that's where the drama comes from.
So they may not be able to maintain what you want. You know, the way you are going to do your own business. When you are in the farm or you are in your company, is quite different from the way people manage it for you. So those people can serve as we have a lot of vectors. That is what
can activate this virus.
Even if you try to prevent, we have a lot of factors. Now, the typical example is what I give about fowl pastors. Fine, you vaccinate them, but the rainy season come. See,
there's this thing, doctor, about fowlpox generally. Okay, sometimes I just feel that whole disease is quite too stubborn, because sometimes they will tell you do at 4 weeks, especially for the turkeys. Even when you do them very early, you realize that they are already active. Some of the birds are already carriers already, and they're already showing signs of the pulse and all of that. Is it about timing or like a management thing that you talked about, or some of them become active earlier than when?
Yes, I will talk about. I'll come in 2 ways. One, management. Two, timing. You know, let's take for example the Gomboro. Some will say do your Gomboro at first week. Some will say do it at second week. There is a particular organ in the body that help in producing antibody that will protect this bird from coming down with this disease. This thing developed at second weeks, but you've given the vaccine at first week. Tell me, how will the production take place? You have something that will produce the antibody that's not developed, and you are introducing something that will use to produce the antibody. I don't know whether you get my point. So early. So which means the timing is wrong. You are doing the right thing, but at the wrong time. That's one.
So, but is it okay to repeat it? To give them a booster dose or something?
So yeah, you see, for you to call it a booster, which means there is some level of antibody in circulation that you want to boost. But if you give them the first one, if there's nothing going on in circulation, what do you want to boost? And what will produce it is not more there, is regressing. So it doesn't have the capacity to produce a fresh antibody for you again. So that's one area. Another thing is the management, just like I said. That's when I will bring in the fowlpox of the thing. Now you vaccinate them. There are a lot of, you see all these local chicken that you're seeing around.
They will just be coming.
You know, sorry for saying anything they call local. You know, how would I put it?
It's rugged.
It's rugged. Thank you.
It's unshakable.
Unshakable. You will see. Let me bring this example of sorry for using the dog as example. Look at all these exotic breed of dogs. You buy some millions of naira. You see all this our local one. This one is dying off. This one is dying off.
Bubble.
And it's vaccinated. Oh, you see this one. Even if it comes down, you see it the next day.
It will
shake thing for you. So then they can harbor a lot of infections and they will not come down with it. We call them asymptomatic. They will not show the symptoms. So when you are allowing contact of these local birds with your birds, they are transferring infection. Whereas you are spending money, you are trying to, but you are introducing another infection to them. Wow. So the timing and management is very, very important. You see, anytime we take this point serious, management, people think
management of the farm, handling of every daily process activity of the farm.
On the farm.
And not because sometimes when we say management, they say we mean you have to have accountant, you should have a farm manager, you have to this. But they're talking about the structure and forgetting the total handling of the farm.
Yes, and that's what people felt. And the moment we take this serious or we put more effort on this, I think, in fact, when your management is top notch, you spend less on drugs and vaccines. That's just it. But people fail to understand. You see people buying day-old chicks now just because they are scared of. They don't want them to die because I buy it 900. You see what you'll be using. There are things that you don't supposed to do. We're doing it all in the name of you're scared. You don't want to lose your bet, of which you're not doing the right thing you're supposed to do.
Wow, that's so much to talk about. And of course, time is not on our side. We've learned so much from what Dr. Habib has actually been saying and sharing with us. So, Dr. Abib, in your closing remarks, what would be your advice for the Nigerian farmer, the African farmer, somebody watching this podcast or listening to this podcast on any of our channels? What would be your advice to them at this critical time that we're in?
Yes, my advice to farmers is to please exercise patience. Everything will be better. We hope for a better day, and they should see all season as a challengeable disease. Season. Sorry. So they just for them to prepare very well. Once they prepare very well, there won't be much problem.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So here is where we draw a curtain to the show today. My name is Abdadu Ote. I'm your Agrotella King and your host on this morning radio show and the agribusiness segment of it. And of course, we'll do the same time, same session. And of course, we'll explore further topics that will inspire you and help you to sustain and manage your agric business and also grow your business in a very safe and healthy manner. Thank you so much, Dr. Abib from the Jibali team. I appreciate your coming to the studio today. Do have a lovely weekend. And of course, like you know, I always tell you, make sure you eat something from the farmer, support the farmer today, pay them extra for everything you buy from the farm. And of course, you'll be glad that you are helping the farmer to stay in business and to produce more food for everyone. Thank you, and do have a lovely week.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.